Hello, it's Caroline from Sante Women's Coaching. Today we have a chair practice for you. So I have a comfortable square style chair. It's got some padding to it, and ideally you actually want something that's square without padding, but I didn't have anything like that. So this is what I'm using. This is a chair practice like this is great for when you may not have quite as much energy, when you're recovering from something, when, for whatever reason, it's just not the best idea to do a lot of standing. So having a chair is a really handy thing. Also great for pregnancy if you're having issues with energy. So late-term pregnancy, chair yoga is a good idea. So for that, I have 3-pound weights here, just in case. And I can show you when or if you want to use them. And then I do have my mat here as well. So my chair is on the edge of the mat to make sure that the mat doesn't slide out, so that when I lift up or when I sit down, I don't have to worry about slippage. Never a good idea to have slippage. Okay, so we always start with our breathing. No matter what type of yoga practice or mind-body practice we're doing, we always begin with our breathing, because that ensures that we're waking up from the center of our body out. That's the goal here. So if you haven't watched my breathing exercise or my breathing how-to, that's a good one to do just to start practicing breathing in and out. And then today, as you're sitting here near the edge, you don't want to be all the way up to the back, you don't want to be falling off the chair, but near the edge, just place your hands comfortably on your knees. And then you're going to start to breathe in a full inhale. That means we're inhaling in through the stomach, through the sides, through the back. The rib cage is going to lift and press out. Shoulders are the only thing that doesn't move. And then when we exhale, we pull up from the pelvic floor. We pull all those muscles in to help expel the air out and up through the mouth. When you do that, especially with the mouth open, when you really exhale strong, you'll feel, and you can place your hands here so that you feel the ribs come in as the diaphragm pulls them up and in. It's an amazing feeling. So we inhale again, let everything open up, down. And then we exhale and we close it all back up. Notice when you exhale, you're not going to be able to move your torso that much, and that's good. That protects the lower back. The lower back doesn't really have a great movement ability anyway, so we really want to keep it stable. It's for stability, not for mobility. All right, so from there, we're going to take our left hand placed on the right leg, and then we're just going to gently lift and shift. So when we inhale, we'll inhale fully, and then we'll exhale, and as we exhale, we move the rib cage, the sternum, the front of the rib cage right here, towards the right. The belly button is still looking forward. And you can touch the wall, because I'm next to a wall for stability. You can touch the back of the chair if you choose to. But this is not a gigantic twist. And like I said, it's only rib cage up. It's no further than that. And then we're coming back to center. And we'll do the other side. Shifting this way on our exhale. When I learned that you don't actually need to twist your lumbar spine, which is the 5 spine down here, what a relief to the lower back. Oh my gosh, because the lower back was always sore and I never understood why. Well, it's because we're not supposed to twist here. That's it. There's nothing more crazy than that. Now we're going to come back to center. We'll walk our hands forward and we're hinging here at the hips. So my back is just as tall as if I were sitting up. And now I'm just leaning it forward. And then come back. Now I want you to practice a little bit of the wave. So the wave begins here in your hips. And it's going to be on an exhale as we adjust the spine up. So we're going to just shift the pelvis a little bit. The stomach comes up and in. As it lifts up and into the rib cage, that lifts the rib cage up. You'll feel yourself get longer and taller every time you do the wave. We always want to do that just to make sure that the spine has plenty of space. Okay, So from here, just shift it out a little bit. You can place your hands on the side of the chair for stability. Do whatever kind of motion or movement you feel comfortable doing. And then, so I've got my weights down here. If you're going to use weights, always have them handy near your chair on each side. So I'm going to grab the edges of the chair. I'm going to help that to scoot me slightly forward. So now I've just got the edge of my glutes here on the chair. So I'm going to think about softening the knees, softening the hips, and then I'm going to press the feet down into the floor and just feel it for a second and kind of lean the weight forward. See if I can get the weight to move into my legs and into my feet specifically. Then as I do that, I'm going to pull that stomach in and around the spine to protect the spine. And exhale as I lift up. Then I'm going to try to do the reverse and just touch the chair. So now I'm going to lower it back down. So that first one is kind of an adjustment, just to check on your spacing. So I'm going to step it slightly further back. And I'm going to do it again. And this time, when I come back down, I'm just going to touch the chair and then lift back up. So press, soften the knees, soften the hips, get the body ready to move, and then I press those feet into the floor. I engage the muscles as I lift and shift the body slightly forward. And then I'm going to send the hips back, bending the knees, touch the chair, and then come up. I'm going to inhale, and then exhale as I come up. And I'm going to make these little fists with my hands when I come up. Inhale, and then up. A few more of those at your pace. So this is literally called a chair pose. In standing yoga, we would do it without a chair. Today we have the chair for balance just in case. One more time. Then we're going to come back down to the chair. Try to hold it, touch the chair, but don't sit down yet. Hold it for just a second and then sit down. Exhale it out. Go ahead and rub out those legs. And remember, whenever we exhale, we're getting out all kinds of toxins from our body. So we really want to use this opportunity to exhale everything out that we can. All right. So now we're going to step those feet slightly further forward. I'm going to lean forward so that I can gently and easily pick up the weights. And if that's an issue for you, then you can always have the weights lifted up on like a stool or something like that right next to you so that you don't even have to lean down to get them. So this is just to make up for the fact that normally when we're doing our yoga, we'll do down dogs or plank positions and other things that work our arms and upper body. Well, in this case, we're not going to do that. So we're going to make up for it by adding a little bit of a hand weight. So with the fists up, grab your weights, and I got these little handles on my weights, which are great because then I can put my fingers through them, and that's just added safety. So I love these. I don't even know where I got them. I got them a long time ago, but if you can find some with little handles around them, they're excellent. Okay, now we're going to make sure I'm going to wave from the hips forward. So this would be how normal people sit, unfortunately. We don't want that, so we want to wave the spine up. From there, we're in a position of power. So then the elbows can come in. The legs are nice and stable on the ground, creating a nice right angle for stability. And then I'm just going to lift both wrists up in towards my shoulder and then down. We'll do this anywhere from 5 to 10 times. Inhaling as you lower, exhaling as you lift up and in. And you can hear me breathing with it, and I hope that you can hear yourself breathing with it too. That's the only thing I miss when I'm doing videos and not a live class. I can't hear people breathing. So I'm going more for a feeling than I am for a specific number. And I think I'm going to stop after this one because I can feel my elbows wanting to start to shift. And I'll go ahead and rest it there for a moment. Just rub it out. Once you start feeling those elbows wanting to shift, that means the other muscles besides the ones that you're trying to work right here, the biceps, are starting to have to help. And that just means that the muscles themselves are wearing out. So at that point, you always have to decide, is it worth it to do any more, or is it a better idea? And I'm helping the forearms now too, because the forearms are what help us to grip. So I'm massaging my forearms. If the muscles that you're targeting, in that case the biceps, are wearing out, does it make sense to continue to work them, or should you let them rest for a day or two and then come back and work them again so they get stronger? So always thinking of it in terms of logic and, rational thought processes. What makes the most sense right now? All right, shake that out. Okay, now we're going to do one more thing with our arms. This time we're going to lift them up above our head, shoulders coming in, so we're trying to get a straight line, and then we're just going to work the back of the arm. So now we're going to lift it up and down. If this is too much doing two at a time, then just pause it and do one at a time. The elbows are staying as stable as possible. If you do this with just one hand, then you can hold the elbow steady with the other hand. And release. I'm going to set my weights down. Again, shake it out. And then we're going to come back to the standing so that we can do one other exercise standing, and then we'll stretch everything out. Okay? So again, hands to the corners of the chair. Walk those feet slightly forward. Soften the knees, soften the body so that you can then engage the feet into the floor, pull up and into the core, exhaling to lift up. Turning towards your chair. We're going to hold on to the side of the chair here. We're going to place our left foot in front. Our right foot, we're just going to step back slightly. So not a huge lunge position, but we want to make sure to keep the front knee above that front ankle, but definitely not ahead of the ankle. So from here, we're just going to come down and do a few of these little lunges. So you do your first one. Make sure that you know where you're supposed to be. If you need to shift forward for better use of that chair, do that. Try to keep the belt line of the pelvis parallel to the ground. And then, I'm doing them quickly, but you can take them slower, you can take them longer, whatever you want. If you're really strong, you can always grab your weights again and do it with weights. Going for about between 10 and 15 on that side. You want to make sure that you're really feeling a nice stretch right here in the front of this back leg. That you're feeling tall in the body. And then you're going to gently lean the upper body forward with a wave motion. So I'm going to wave it up. And then I can do a deeper bend in the back knee to press this foot forward. Shake it out. Step the other foot back. Get my footing. The narrower the base of between the 2 feet, the harder it is to balance. The wider space between the 2 feet, the easier it is. So we're coming back into it. (10 to 15 again. Make sure that you're really getting in those good big breaths. And as you can see, I have my water here. I never exercise without water available, regardless of the exercise I'm doing. Even the most gentle exercises, I will still have water handy because I want to make sure that every time I breathe out that I'm not risking drying out that throat and, you know, causing pain and problems later on. So, okay, so my upper body's going to wave up long and tall again. Then I'm going to slowly step the back foot in and shake it out. All right, so now we're coming back to the front of our chair. And just the same way we did before when we came down and sat down, we want to think about the arms coming out forward to balance out the weight as our hips shift back, and then we come to seated. And now it's time to stretch. So you can either simply lift one leg and kind of set it over as though you're crossing your knees, and then feel stretch here. Depending on how your hip placement is, what kind of energy you have, you might be able to even lift that leg and place that ankle on the right side. It really does vary from person to person on the individual makeup of the hip joint. I am constantly amazed at the uniqueness of our skeletons and how each piece of our skeleton fits together. So you can always wave the body up again and come further forward if you want a little bit more of a stretch in the hip. But remember, while stretching of the hip feels good, it's so easy to overstretch our joints and it really isn't helpful. So we just want to go to the edge of stretch to where it still feels nice, and then hang out there and then come off gently and shift the leg down. Shake it out a little bit. This is going to be particularly important going just to your edge of stretch, but not further when you're pregnant, because we did just switch sides. Because with relaxin, the hormone that our body starts to secrete from when we first get pregnant, and it keeps getting more and more until the end of the pregnancy. But what it does is it relaxes the joints, especially around the pelvis, in order to allow the baby to open the hip joint up and the baby to come through. Naturally, it doesn't just target that one joint, it hits every joint, which means that all of our joints become less stable and more prone to injury, overstretching, for example, or even, just unsteady. If you feel unsteady on your feet when you're pregnant, it's because your joints are not as stable as they normally are. So, just another thing to be amazed at. Pregnancy is an amazing time in a woman's life, and at the same time to be concerned with or wary of, just to make sure you stay safe. Let's go ahead and lift back off, shake that out. We're going to bring the hands in front, interlace the fingers, press it forward. So we want to keep that tall spine, and then all we're doing here is increasing the space between the shoulder blades. And then we'll release that. Take the arms behind. So the easiest way to do that is to have your palms facing each other, and then just simply shift them back by swinging them down beside the body. Grab back the chair, and then you can lean forward to get a stretch in the front of the chest. This is great if you've done a lot of computer work or anything that has you leaning forward, which is most of our modern day life. One of my teachers calls it email asana, when we're constantly in this little forward fold almost position and we're typing. So this counteracts that. And this is a great one to do even if you're just sitting at work at your job. Just take a quick stretch break and then release that out, roll the shoulders. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful for you, and that you have a chance to do this as often as you like, always increasing the challenge for your own body, and understanding that we all have to simply notice and be mindful of what our body needs and desires at that time. And that's the key to a healthy balance. Your body does want to get stronger, it does want to get healthier, but it's just so easy for us to try to push because we see somebody else pushing, and not to think about whether our body can tolerate that. So we take it one day at a time. Let me know if you have any questions about this practice, if you'd like some more of this type of practices, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.